Really exciting day today, the beginning of the season. I think all over the country now in every football facility. I don't know if there's a better day than this as you lead up to your first game. Questions?
Did everyone report that you were expecting to report?
We're expecting everybody to be here. We are waiting on a little bit of paperwork from the clearinghouse, and what I'll do is I'll give Jay an update before practice tomorrow. But we are expecting everybody to be here today.
And what about the general physical shape of the players that are here? You pleased with that?
I'm pleased with it. I think there's going to be one or two guys that I think we're going to have to limit a little bit as we get into training camp. I remember my first year, Sami McDonald was coming off a knee procedure, and we had to limit him as we went through training camp to make sure that he'd be ready for that first game. And I think just like the eligibility issues, I'm going to give Jay a list before practice tomorrow, so you guys will have a heads up on kind of who's going to take all the reps and who might be just limited a little bit.
I think I meant more from a conditioning standpoint.
Oh, I'm really excited about the condition and the shape of the team. I think I think the team looked really good over the summer. It was great to be able to watch a little bit of it. That was nice. That new rule I thought was really helpful for us to get to know this football team.
How did you guys use those 2 hours? Was it all just film, meeting? How did you break that down?
We used it in the classroom. Yeah, we used it in the classroom, and then we left the on-field stuff to our strength staff because I think they do a great job with it. And with new coordinators and a new special teams coordinator, I thought it was really valuable for us.
When you meet with the team tonight, what's going to be your message?
Our message is to be 1-0 tomorrow. That is our message. And if we can be 1-0 tomorrow, and that's not just the day, it's every rep you take, your goal should be to be 1-0. And then once that rep is over, for better or for worse, process what happened and then learn from it and then move on and get ready to be 1-0 the next time. And then we'll take it one day at a time from there.
Are you seeing new leadership emerge already?
Yeah, I think we've seen it the entire offseason. There's no doubt. I think we've got a lot of leaders on this football team. You can point to guys like Michael Burton, Stephen Longa, David Maluski, but there's so many others. Leonte Carew, Gary Nova. I think all the quarterbacks, Mike Galante, Chris Laviano, I think the quarterbacks really did a good job. When we do our team building night week in the offseason, you could really tell the quarterbacks standing out in those drills.
Given Washington State's uniqueness, how you guys struggled against that type of offense last year, and you have a lot of guys back, will you mix in more game prep in training camp than maybe you did last year, where there'd be more focus on Washington State? Then, will you handle the training camp schedule any differently?
I don't think we'll handle it much differently. When you play a first game, you're fortunate. You do get more days to prepare than you normally would for a game during the season. So we won't build in any more than that because training camp's really got to serve two purposes. It's got to certainly get you ready for your first game, but it's got to get you ready for the entire season. So we'll handle most of that as we lead up to the last 7 to 8 days before the game, and then we'll get a little extra game prep in at that point. But you're right. It was a style of offense that we didn't do as well against last year as we would have liked to. And I know our players are excited about the challenge of defending it right out of the gate.
Kyle, how important will it be to get your full first-team offense out there to really evaluate how that unit is doing under Ralph?
I think for Ralph, it's going to be critical. I think Ralph has been waiting to work with guys like Tyler Croft and Paul James and to have Leonte Carew at his full disposal. And now as we enter training camp, he's going to have that. Justin Goodwin will be back. We didn't have Justin Goodwin for a portion of the spring. So now with a lot of the weapons in place and adding one at the receiver position, there's certainly some new pieces of the puzzle for Ralph to fit in.
This season is like a different animal. What's the feeling like for you now going into training camp?
I don't think we look at it as a different animal. I think there's a uniqueness to the season because we have 12 new opponents. We have a new conference. We're certainly aware of the reputation of the conference and the physicality that presents itself on film, but we think we're a pretty physical football team as well, and we're looking forward to it.
A common refrain is, amongst the players is they're kind of coming in loose with a chip on their shoulder, feeling like there's no pressure given what people kind of expect them to do. Did you kind of see that also, that they're eager to prove people wrong and overachieve?
I think that's good. I think it's a good thing. I think if they feel like they've got something to prove coming off the season that we had, I think that'll only serve us well as we go through training camp. But it's a different year. Every team on the schedule starts 0-0. It's a new team. It's a new training camp. And we got to build the identity of the 2014 team, starting today.
I know things are always evolving, but is there anything structurally different for you with this training camp, or is it pretty much the same?
No, there is. We're going to practice a little bit earlier in the day. Our practices are going to begin right around 12:45. And I won't disclose the sources, but we spoke to a lot of people, both in college and in the NFL, and the topic of sports performance is studied now more than it has ever been studied in the history of sports. And we feel like we've used this schedule will allow us to maximize our time. We're doing a little bit of a different structure building up to the practice. Our coaches, our players will work with our strength staff every day. Some of those days will be lifting. Some of those days will be other things. and then we'll have meetings building up to practice, and then our walkthroughs will be built in the evenings.
Kyle, time for 2 more.
Kyle, you said that you wanted to use this camp to build the identity of the team. What do you hope at the end of this camp that identity is?
To me, it's very simple. I want a smart, physical, and fast football team. In that order. We need to play smart football to make sure that you don't lose a game before you win it. We need to be physical, which is really one of the identities of our program over the last decade. And we want to be fast. I think we've got a fast football team. It's got to show on the football field.
But what are you looking for going into a new conference and where you guys work? I feel like this is the most the program has to prove in the sense it's maybe that 2006 season where you guys got on the map.
I don't have any concerns about where we were picked. I think I saw an article a couple days ago where they showed all the preseason rankings for Rutgers over the last some odd years, and I don't think any of them are accurate. I think they're actually wrong in the other direction most of the time. So I don't really worry about where we were picked. I don't need any more motivation when I wake up in the morning other than the opportunity to be the Big Ten Eastern Division champion and have an opportunity to go play in the Big Ten championship game. And I know our players have said a couple things about having a chip on their shoulder, and if that's how they feel, they have every right to feel that way. But for me, being the Big Ten Eastern Division champion, the only motivation I have.
Thanks, Kyle.